So today we're going to speak about when to use heat and when to use ice. There's a lot of confusion as to which one works for what. There are a few trains of thought and it's not actually the easiest question to answer. But in short, if we understand how an injury works, in the beginning when you damage a tissue, so if you twist your ankle, there's some bleeding of the tissue if you've torn some ligaments, or if you've torn a muscle, if you've pulled your hamstring, there'll be some bleeding where there's some tearing, and that's the initial stage of injury. So that's when the injury occurs. For the first 6 to 8 hours or so, there will be some bleeding within the tissue. After that, it starts a cascade of events to try and heal that wounded tissue. So you'll get some constriction to slow the blood flow down. You then get inflammation where all the chemical reactions occur to try and fix that the tear or the injury, and then over time your body starts to lay down some connective tissue and some collagen to try and form a scar tissue, and that happens in a very mismatched array of collagen laying down, etc. And then your body will then reabsorb all the excess scar tissue and try and do a contraction of that wound and make it heal nicely. So when to add ice? This is a contentious issue because some people feel that why would you want to slow down any of that inflammation? The inflammation is the first stage of healing. So there are two schools of thought. Some people will use ice to try and calm down the pain because it does slow down the nerve firing. So it will cause that numbness, but it does also cause a constriction of the blood flow and a constriction of all those good chemicals and good chemical reactions happening to start the healing process. So if you are going to use ice in that initial stage, it's just for like 10 minutes max, just to try and give you some pain relief. And especially if that swelling is getting out of control. So if there's a little bit of puffiness, not to worry, do some active movements, make sure that the muscle is working, make sure that the joint is just going through like a pain-free kind of range if you can, and then avoid using ice, and obviously avoid using anti-inflammatories at this stage as well, because that's when you are actually wanting that inflammation to happen. Later on, when you just have that stiffness, so when there is a point where the joint or the muscle is pain-free and it's just sore when you get moving, and that feels more like a stiffness, then you can add some heat to try and relieve that stiffness. So ideally it's not in an acute injury, it would be more for like those kind of build-ups of pain, like that chronic kind of tension in your shoulders, a chronic backache, something that's been there for a little while and it just feels more stiff, that you want to try and actually improve the circulation and improve blood flow to that area. That is when you would add heat. Again, there is also some contentious issues around that, in that people with chronic pain sometimes feel relief from the heat, but their pain is not actually better. This is something to weigh up. So if the heat is helping you and you feel better, then use heat. If the ice helps you better, so the ice in a more chronic condition can help to slow down that nerve function as well and give you some numbness, or just to have a relief of pain, then sometimes the ice is better. So for more chronic conditions, it's your choice, whatever your body responds to best. If you respond well to the numbing effect of ice, then use that. If you respond better to the relaxing, calming feeling of heat, then use that. But the big thing is that in acute injuries, you do not use the heat, as the heat will help to aggravate that inflammation. It already gets hot and swollen with that initial stage of inflammation. You don't want to ramp that up with heat. So ice if you feel that's necessary. That also goes with the gels, like deep heat. That's also not ideal to use in an acute phase. You would use that later when you would use the heat. In the initial stages, we're trying to cool everything down and to prevent that over swelling. So some mild swelling is okay. It's part of the healing process and it needs to get there. So I hope that clears some things up. Good luck. Let me know how you get on.